Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. Great to be here with you today on episode 2386 of the Cabral Concept podcast. Hopefully you're tuning in today on video on our YouTube channel or anywhere our podcast is played. Thank you so much, as always, for your support of this podcast and this amazing global health-based community. And what I wanted to do today, since I've gotten so many questions, is to really go over a lot of what I personally did, and I've been helping people now for the past decade in my practice, to overcome a lot of hair loss and hair thinning based struggles for both men and women. And so why this came about is about 4 weeks ago, I published an in-depth article on basically A to Z. Essentially the 7 main reasons why people lose their hair, both men and women. Men, there's about 1 or 2 main reasons. Women, that accounts for the other 5 or 6. And I break all of that out. It's literally all there for you. It's at stephencabral.com/hair-loss. And the reason why I put it out there is because I was doing so much research for, again, previously for clients in my practice, but then also for myself. I said, I want to document all of this research so that, 1, it's accessible to anybody out there who wants the information. And 2, I can always use it as a resource for myself to go back to and say, oh yeah, that's where that study came from. That's where that research came from. And then it's also a living, breathing article that can also, and I call it more of a resource, that can be updated in the future as we learn more and more about hair loss. So what I want to do is, again, just share with you what happened, why it happened, and how I was able to fortunately reverse the majority of that hair loss. And you can see my personal before and after photos. I share everything about my health, everything about all of my wins, all of my losses, all of those different types of things at stephencabral.com/hair-loss. But I'll also link everything up today at episode 2386. So I go over tech. I go over even some pharmaceuticals that people may choose to use. I go over certain hair-based oils, like literally everything, but not to overwhelm you. I only go over the things that actually have validity behind them and move the needle so that you don't have to worry about trying 2 dozen, 3 dozen different things. Okay. So again, I don't know if you ever heard me share this, but this was one of my viral based podcasts. So a lot of people have been struggling with this, and I hear you and I hear your questions, and I, totally get it and understand. But what happened to me was when I got, and I don't even know if we can still say it, COVID, the virus, we'll refer to it for the rest of the podcast, I got a higher level of inflammation. Now, again, I was better within a week and everything was good. And this was way back now a year ago, essentially, when I got it. And it was one of the stronger strains. And so I dealt with that. But again, I had a fever for a couple days and I had the malaise and the lethargy that goes along with it. And then I recovered. Then I, just ramped back up slowly over 2 weeks because I wanted to just be smart about not overwhelming my body with super hard workouts or hard sauna or lack of sleep. So I just eased back into my lifestyle and things were good. Now, I know a lot of people deal with long COVID and long haulers or whatever you want to talk about it, or however you want to refer to it. I have podcasts on all of those things. Lack of smell, lack of taste, burning tongue, burning toes, like literally all the different scenarios. So if you do want answers to those, that's not going to be on this show, but I have all of those for you. They're completely free at stephencabral.com/podcast. You just scroll through the images at the top and pick the virus-based one, virus updates, or we'll link them up today at episode 2386. And again, every podcast can be found by just putting that at the end of stephencabral.com/ and then just put in the podcast like 2386. All right. So here's what happened. I have been someone for the majority of my life, good or bad, who has higher levels of testosterone. Some men do naturally, some men don't. And it's just part of it's genetic, draw, but part of it is obviously lifestyle as well. So everybody has their upper baseline, their upper limits. I have my upper limits for everything, obviously, just like anybody. Testosterone for me was a problem when I was a teenager with higher levels, because when I was sick at 17 years old, my senior year of high school, I started converting more of that testosterone to estrogen at the time, not DHT, that I'll be talking about in just a moment, that causes hair loss. Okay, so why was I converting it more to estrogen? Here's why. Teenager, obviously 17-year-old male, you're producing almost your highest level of testosterone really that you ever will. So going through puberty, producing all of this testosterone, typically it would stay the majority of it as testosterone. Makes sense, right? But what happens is testosterone in an unhealthy body will convert to a greater degree to dihydrotestosterone, that's DHT, or estrogen, okay? So what happened to me is I had some of those things that would allow back then, it wasn't converting to DHT, but it was converting to estrogen. Why was it doing that? Well, here are the reasons why testosterone levels can dip or convert to some other type of hormone. It can be because of inflammation in the body. I had lots of that because of all my immune issues. It can be due to viruses. Well, I had Epstein-Barr virus for one. It can be due to stress. I was a senior in high school. I was playing sports every season. I was in relationships. I was going to be heading off to college. I was taking SATs. I was applying to college. I was working a job after school. Like, there was a lot going on. Also, heavy metals can be an issue with that. I had no idea what heavy metals were back when I was 17 years old. And yes, I'm sure I had heavy metals as well, because when I tested when I was 19 years old for the first time for heavy metals, my mercury was off the charts. Okay, so any one of those reasons and more could convert testosterone to estrogen. All right, I had that as a teenager. That was not ideal. I would get hot flashes, literally hot flashes, start to sweat during school, just pour sweat. It was not a good time. Now, got myself healthy, had none of those issues, even with high testosterone in my 20s and 30s. Now that I'm in my 40s, I still have high levels of testosterone. I'm happy about that. I have no problem with that. It leads to good things in life, if not unchecked, because it can cause issues if unchecked. Again, not off the chart, just high level of normal. That's all. And I'm not on any testosterone boosting drugs or anything like that. I just, again, have high normal testosterone. But here's the issue. When I got COVID, I had higher levels of inflammation because my body was what? Well, it's normal to have high levels of inflammation if your immune system ramps up and it's fighting off a virus, right? That's totally normal. That is what your body's supposed to do. Problem is, it ramps up fever as well. Why? Fever helps to kill viruses. Like, that is a natural process of the body. You're not supposed to suppress a fever unless it gets too high, and you can talk about that with your healthcare practitioner. So here's the thing. That inflammation, though, started to convert some of my testosterone to dihydrotestosterone. And I actually show you my lab results at that hair loss base page. Again, you can find everything at 2386 today. So then I started converting testosterone to dihydrotestosterone now that I'm in my 40s. That's not abnormal. The majority of men begin to have hair thinning in their 30s. And by the time they reach 50, most men have some level of hair thinning. Well, I had some, certainly, since I was in my early 20s. I had a very thick head of hair in my teens and 20s. And it's just, again, I've been able to keep my hair. And I always said to myself, hey, if I lose my hair, I lose my hair. But the problem was that the accelerated hair loss was the problem. Like, I'm not losing it gradually. In October of last year, boom, like 50% of all the hair on my head fell out, the top of my head. It was unbelievable. And it happened radically fast. And nobody's really ready for that, right? I mean, again, I'm human, so nobody's really ready for that. So what did I have to do? Well, I had to go back to this. I had to say to myself, okay, I know that you are now the patient or the wellness client, but you need to think about what you did to help other people and do that for yourself. It's not always easy as a practitioner because it becomes personal, right? Like, literally, you are your own patient. So here's what I had to do. I had to go back and say, okay, what would I do if this wasn't me? All right, well, the first thing I do is always go back to labs. What's off in your labs? Okay, you have higher levels of testosterone. Dihydrotestosterone is a very tricky thing to test. Assume you are converting higher levels to dihydrotestosterone, since that is the number one reason why men lose their hair. The number one. And let me put it to you this way. If a man loses his hair, 90% of the time, it's from a testosterone to dihydrotestosterone conversion. So I said, okay, assume that this is one of the main reasons. So what do we need to do? Okay, we need to figure out, do you have higher levels of cortisol? Okay, we can run a lab on that. So my cortisol, that has been one of the number one things that I've been able to maintain and keep in check. Really, really important to me because of obviously my history with Addison's disease. So what I did was I said, okay, we need to get after this. So what do we need to do? Well, the main thing right now is, since I know I don't have heavy metals because I test that, stress is okay, it's fine. I need to get more sleep and I need to really balance this inflammation. So I wanted to attack on inflammation and boosting my immune system healthily and making sure I got that extra sleep. So no more 7.5 hours of sleep per night. I made sure I was getting 8 to 8.5 hours of sleep per night. So that was one. I made sure that I didn't overdo my weight workouts, which would cause a greater stress on my body at that time. And I also made sure that I wasn't overstressing my body in any type of hot saunas or any really cold-based plunges. So anything that was dramatically stressful, I tried to reduce. Okay, but besides that, there's a lot more you can do that actually we've been shown now with science that works. So I'm going to share with you those things right now, just a cursory overview. And like I said, if you need it, or a partner needs it, or a friend needs it, then just, again, feel free to share this with them. So here's the thing. I go through my story. I go through my before and afters. You can actually see them, how the growth happened over a period of 6 to 12 weeks, and then got even better after 16 weeks. And remember, hair growth takes time. I also have a podcast on that page that explains there's some people say 4, but there's 3 main stages of hair loss and growth, okay? So there's basically the growth stage, there's the in-between pause stage, and then there's the hair loss. And so what I had to do was, I was already in the hair loss. I had to immediately do my best to shift back into the hair growth stage, right? That's what everything that I'm about to share with you aims to do, while of course stopping the hair loss. Okay. So the first thing you can, if possible, is you're going to lab test. I'm not going to go through the labs right now. I'm really not. The big 5 is the most important one because you look at your inflammation levels with omega-3s. You look at food sensitivities that might be causing inflammation. You're looking at heavy metals. You're looking at stress. You're looking at cortisol. You're looking at thyroid. You're looking at testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, all the things that could cause hair loss, right? So that's what you're doing with the big 5. And if you're not able to, well, then probably the number one to do, lab to do would be the stress, mood, and metabolism. That's without a doubt the number one if you're dealing with hair loss. And you would find that and the number 2 would actually, I mean, again, I know that not everyone's able to do these, but you really want to run at minimum the stress, mood, and metabolism, and then the starter kit. Like that's what I would do. And if I had to put them in order, stress, mood, metabolism, then the minerals and metals test, and then the candida metabolic and vitamins test. All right. But let's say you're not able to do those. Well, what do we need to do? Well, we need to rebalance these things. So these are the reasons why men and women lose their hair. Higher levels of cortisol, right? So again, you can lab test for that, but you want to balance high levels of cortisol. There's specific herbs that you can use. And again, I'll list these on this page. You want to balance higher low levels of estrogen. Okay, so for men, you want to bring down those estrogen levels, like no doubt about it. And that's typically a conversion from testosterone to estrogen. For women, you can have estrogen dominance, okay? You want to fix that, but also women during menopause can get lower levels of estrogen. You don't want low levels of estrogen because that affects your hair, your cholesterol, your heart, and a lot more. If you have low levels of thyroid, you want to bring up your thyroid levels to a healthy level. And no, that does not mean between a 0.5 and a 5. For your TSH, it's between a 0.5 and a 2. That's optimal. Not a 3, not a 4, and certainly not a 5. All right, high testosterone. If you have high levels of testosterone, it's okay. If it's natural. But if you are losing your hair, it can be a conversion to DHT, dihydrotestosterone, and you'll want to work on the stress, inflammation, viruses, heavy metals, high cortisol, those types of things that would convert it to DHT. If you have PCOS, you're going to want to work on all of those factors. I have lots of free podcasts on PCOS as well. Okay, if you have vitamin and mineral deficiencies, you're not going to be able to regrow your hair. All right, amino acids, zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D, what else? those are the main ones. I've given many before, but you really have to make sure that you're getting your B vitamins and those minerals that I just spoke about. Magnesium is obviously important as well. And then there's overall inflammation. And so you want to make sure that you're getting enough omega-3s and you're on an anti-inflammatory nutrition plan to be able to balance the inflammation. So those are the 7 main reasons. Again, I'm giving you a cursory overview today. I have a full article. It's all right there for you. And again, I'll link that up and I'll talk about it once more towards the end of the show. All right. So now what can you do though for, as they say, hair loss therapies in order to be able to immediately begin to regrow the hair? And when I say immediately, I mean within 12 weeks. Okay. So you have to give this time. There's nothing that we know of. And you know that I'm unbiased and I tell you the truth. There's nothing we know of that immediately regrows your hair. There's nothing. And so it takes minimum of 6 weeks to about 3 to 4 months where you start to see it. All right. So the first one, and again, I'm not going to go through where you can do all these things. It's on that webpage because I like to be mindful of your time. Hopefully you tune in on a daily basis to the Cabral concept. You get the information. You realize there are alternatives out there to you're being told by the media and conventional medicine. And then you can go deeper on it. And I always give you ways to go deeper as well. Okay. So PRP, plasma or platelet-rich plasma therapy. Basically, your own blood is drawn. It's separated out for the plasma, and then it is actually injected into your scalp. Okay. I have actually had this done. I had it done about 3 years ago. I did it because I wanted to learn more about it, and there was great research on it, still is, that it helps many people to regrow hair. All right. So I have not done it again and didn't need it for this time around, but I am going to do it again later this fall. And I want to do it because I still want to regrow. You can see the top of my head. So it's regrown, but not to the same level of thickness that it was before. So I want to try to push it to that next level. And it's expensive. It's the most expensive one on this list to do PRP. Luckily, I do think that you can not do it and still regrow your hair, but it is effective. And there are many places that you're able to do it. Okay. The next one is direct red light therapy. Now, I did this and still doing it to this day. This takes a good 4 to 6 months minimum to work. So again, it's a longer term one, but great clinical research behind it. The one that I have is that it pushes the hair out of the way. Where people go wrong with red light therapy to regrow hair is they're doing it too far away. It's got to be right on top of your head, basically. And the other part is that it doesn't touch your scalp. Your hair blocks the scalp from getting the red light. You have to get the red light on your scalp. There's a device that I actually did a product review years ago. Never thought I would be using it so often. That's actually FDA registered. That's clinically proven to work. And so you'll check that out. It's a very unique device where it actually combs. It has a comb attached to it, combs your hair out of the way as the red light touches the scalp. It literally takes 3 minutes a day. And actually, you do it every other day is the recommendation. Okay. Now for a pharmaceutical one. Not everybody will do this. I don't recommend it actually for everyone, but many men are using finasteride, which used to be called Propecia. So the problem is it comes with side effects. And I'm not going to go through all the side effects here today, but men could have sexual dysfunction from it. They could have maybe some acne from it. There's other things that could happen from using this drug internally. Now, the interesting thing is they just came out with, I want to say like maybe a year ago, a topical finasteride. And you can combine it with minoxidil that is not as toxic to the system. Can I say that it's non-toxic? No, I cannot. Again, because I'm being honest with you. But if you're looking for something that has been, again, clinically proven to stop, hopefully, future hair loss and to even regrow hair, a topical solution has been shown to be as effective as the pill that you swallow that has to then be processed through your liver, making it more toxic. So it's something to think about. Again, I'm not going to say it's the right decision for a lot of people. If people are trying to stay more natural, then they very well may decide not to use this. But I want to give you everything at your disposal, and I give you that right here as well, again, on that page. Okay. So, so again, these are just all your options. You don't need to do all of them. The second one, this is like the fourth or fifth one. I did a podcast on this not too long ago, and I'm going to actually give you the number right here, and then we'll link that up as well. Let's see. The two most common practices that damage and thin out your hair. All right. So that was podcast number 2350. And I really go in depth and I give you alternatives. But using a hair dryer on high heat and doing a sauna, not with your head not exposed, because there are saunas that don't expose your head, but expose your head to high heat, can damage, dry out, and destroy the proteins in the hair. All right. So something to think about. I give you alternatives on episode 2350 as well. And I'll link that show up as well. Okay, next, there are shampoos that you can use and conditioners every day that have herbs in them, like saw palmetto, pygeum, and others that are natural herbal DHT blockers. And I linked up a new company that I started using and recommending. Now, this product, contains tea tree and red Korean seaweed, nettle leaf, hu shu wu, which is a great traditional Chinese medicine herb for hair growth, amla, that's high in vitamin C. We've got vitamin E in it, black cumin seed oil, saw palmetto, argan oil, and more. So, it's, again, some really nice ones in there. Now, it does have... it is a cleaner product, but not the most clean, right? So certainly not the most clean shampoo and conditioner, which is why you may or may not decide to use this. But if hair loss and thinning is a priority right now, well, you may decide to say, okay, I'm going to use this for a bit. All right, just a couple more. The next one is a hair growth oil. So I actually link up, I believe my team linked it up. I want to just make sure. It's just on Amazon. Actually, we're going to get you the other one linked up. Right now, it's linking up to castor oil. Castor oil is great for your hair. You can put it in overnight. But there's another one. Oh, and that's why. It's just, it's listed in the article. It's called hair growth oil. And I said to use a half a tablespoon of hair growth oil combined with a half a tablespoon of castor oil. And if you want, add 3 drops of bergamot oil. And what that will do is that will actually give you all the proven essential oils and oils in general to help create thicker, strong hair and actually help to repair the scalp. Because when I had a lot more of that inflammation, I actually had dry scalp and a little bit of flakes, and I don't typically get that. So these oils help to repair my scalp as well. The last one is actually using herbs that are proven to block dihydrotestosterone and the conversion of testosterone for both men and women with PCOS, and is very, very helpful, believe it or not, for the prostate as well in men. And so that's called Daily Hair Support Formula. I'll let you link that up if you think it's worthwhile for you. There's a few herbal products out there. I'm sure you know what the herbal products are that help with hair loss. This is the best one that we know of, and certainly because we helped to formulate that, and that is based on clinical science. So we recommend the Daily Hair Support Formula along with the Daily Nutritional Support or Daily Activated Multi to make sure you're getting all your vitamins and minerals. If you don't know your omega-3 levels, I'd recommend 2 soft gels of that at dinner as well. So that's it. So basically, you run the labs, figure out, hey, what's going on here? That's what I did. And then you can begin to use as many of these modalities as you'd like. And really, price-wise, they're not too bad, except for the PRP and the one-time purchase of the red light-based therapy device. So it really depends on your budget. And so again, you might want to think about that. But you could do the others even on, I would say, a budget and still get great results. So I wanted to share this with you. Again, I go a lot more in depth at stephencabral.com/hair-loss. This has been something that I was very happy to get out there. I was happy to see my own results, and I just simply wanted to share that with everyone. I'm also open to any other things that have worked for you. So if you want to post them in the comments right below this video on YouTube, that would be amazing, or in the comments on social as well. All right, everyone, thanks so much for tuning in today. Of course, if this was helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone else you believe it could serve. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.